Welcome back, everyone. So, after seeing everything that took place today in the court concerning Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's matter, you come to a conclusion that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu does not have any case with Nigeria government. Like, these people are just detaining this man for absolutely nothing, especially after the witness from Nigeria government admitted that no weapon of terrorism or violence was recovered from the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And when you listen to the answers the witness from Nigeria government, answered, he always say, I don't know. Even when he says something against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they'll ask him, do you have evidence? He said no. So this to show you that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu doesn't have any case with Nigeria government. And also you ask yourself, on what basis did the Nigeria government charge Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for terrorism? Like, this is really, really unfair, honestly. They have done a lot of harm to this man. It is time to free him. It is time to let Mazi Nnamdi Kanu go. So, my people, let me allow you guys to listen and hear everything they said concerning what happened today in the court, so that you get better understanding of everything that took place today in the court concerning Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's matter. Just take a look.
We begin with judicial matters, where the Federal High Court in Abuja has once again adjourned the trial of the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. Now, after appearing before the court today, the trial was adjourned to the 6th of May 2025. The court, presided over by Justice James Omotosho, had earlier authorized the use of masked witnesses. At the last sitting, a masked witness identified as AAA testified about Kanu's arrest at a hotel in Lagos, evidence the defense was expected to contest on Friday. Now, Kanu's lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, presented a 22-member legal team, although the judge permitted only 13 to participate. 4 senior advocates of Nigeria have now joined the defense. Kanu faces terrorism and treason charges dating back to 2015. However, the case has been repeatedly delayed, including due to his controversial rearrest in Kenya in 2021. Meanwhile, Justice Inyangeko, the judge assigned to hear the case involving Aisha Chimugu, has been suspended by the National Judicial Council. According to the NJC, Justice Ekwo delivered a ruling in a criminal case without hearing from the parties involved, an act deemed a serious breach of judicial conduct. Now, the council added that the judge failed to properly identify the parties referenced in this ruling. As a result, Justice Ekwo had been handed a 1-year suspension, placed on a 5-year watch list, and barred from career progression for the same duration. News Central's Joshua Marai joins us to give more update on this. Joshua, what were the main reasons given for the latest adjournment of Nnamdi Kanu's trial to May 6, 2025?
Well, good afternoon to you, Dashen. I am live at the Federal High Court, where earlier counsels representing Nnamdi Kanu and briefed us. The adjournment was given to enable further cross-examination and presentation of witnesses by the DSS in this case. But let me tell you what went down in court today. Upon the commencement of proceedings, the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu was allowed to cross-examine the witness brought forward by the DSS. The question of the DSS, if earlier a video was played where Nnamdi Kanu was being questioned and interviewed in the custody of the DSS, where he had alleged that he had been interviewed without the presence of his lawyers. So they asked the witness of the DSS if he was among those responsible for the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and he said his own duty was to effect his arrest at the Golden City Hotel, see him brought to Abuja and brought forward to the DSS. Now they asked him that upon arriving at the Golden City Hotel, was there any incriminating evidence that noted that Nnamdi Kanu was a party to terrorism? Was any instrument of terrorism found in his custody, in which the witness said no? He was then asked if the lady who was in the company of Nnamdi Kanu at the Golden City Hotel had any incriminating evidence that suggested that she was part of the alleged terrorism activity. Said no. They asked him further if he had some properties of Nnamdi Kanu in his custody, and he confirmed that yes, he had them and was brought forward to the DSS. He had his cell phone, and they asked if upon analyzing the cell phone, he saw any incriminating evidence suggesting that Nnamdi Kanu perpetrated any act of terrorism, and they said no. So the question and the answers all amounted to no, 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 no. Now the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu went forward and asked the witness that currently we are seeing some pockets of violence and insurgency and insecurity across the country. Are those insecurity connected to any agitation for emancipation of any group? He said no. Then the counsel representing Nnamdi Kanu went ahead to tell the court that his client is the only person standing trial amongst the group that was arrested sometime 10 years ago in company of Nnamdi Kanu. He's the only person standing trial for terrorism charges. Then they concluded the cross-examination, and the next adjourned date was adjourned to May 6th for a continuing of the cross-examination and presentation of other witnesses by the DSS.
Okay. Well, just before we go ahead, Joshua, let's listen to what Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer had to say.
We started our cross-examination today, and for hours and I guess we have made progress. We're getting there. The matter is set down for Tuesday, the continuation of cross-examination, and of course for other witnesses we believe, like we said last week, we're making progress. The trial is going on in a very continual atmosphere, and we believe that we'll get there.
Well, he just said that they seem to be making progress. But then, Joshua, back to you. How did the court justify the use of masked witnesses? You know, what was the reaction from both prosecution and defense?
Well, for the use of masked witnesses, the officer of the DSS who has been identified as AAA, it amounted to no substantial evidence against Nnamdi Kanu, based on what the lawyer has said. And subsequently, they are expected to bring more witnesses to prove their case of alleged terrorism against Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay. Now, can you describe the atmosphere in and around the Federal High Court during today's proceedings?
As usual, whenever Nnamdi Kanu is being brought to court, we are seeing pockets of DSS operatives and security operatives scattered around the premises of the Federal High Court in Abuja, along the highway leading to the Federal High Court, as well as the neighboring building, which is the Ministry of Justice. Pockets of DSS officials are stationed around there. Even in the building, in the premises of the Federal High Court too, you can see pockets of DSS officials scattered around. And before you could get access into the premises of the Federal High Court, you are subjected to a very, very intense scrutiny of questioning you to where you are going. If you are a lawyer, you have to bring evidence that you have a case in court. If you are one who has, if you're a respondent in any pending case, you have to bring evidence that you have any business in court. And if you are a journalist, you have to bring evidence that you're a journalist, because already there is a submitted list of journalism at the gate of the Federal High Court. So that is how it is. The security is tense. Every area, every staircase, every port, every door is being manned by security operatives, ensuring they do their job.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that update, Joshua.
This is actually the latest updates coming out from the Federal High Court in Abuja. As you all know, today, May 2nd, 2025, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case was officially called up at the Federal High Court in Abuja. And from the very start, it was clear that the defense team came well prepared for a serious battle. Now, the courtroom was actually filled with high expectations as the prosecution led by Chief Adeboyega Awomolo, SAN, introduced his team. On the other side, Kanu's lead counsel, Chief Kanu Agabi, who is also a senior advocate of Nigeria, stood up with a solid defense squad. And then the heat began. The DSS witness, officially known as PW AAA, was brought in for cross-examination, And that was where the courtroom really lit up. The defense team, began digging deep. They pointed out that the statement taken from Kanu was done without a lawyer present. And even the witness himself admitted he wasn't visible in the interview video. He confirmed that all he did was, obtain the statement after Kanu's arrest in Lagos before they transferred him to Abuja. Now, throughout the session today, it became obvious that the DSS only focused on Kanu. The witness said no other statements were taken from anyone else. And he didn't personally analyze any of the seized items either. In fact, some of those items which had been in the DSS custody for nearly 10 years were no longer even functional. Now, the court also heard that during Kanu's arrest, no weapon or violent materials were found on him or the lady he was arrested with. In fact, even till today, there is no confirmed evidence that Kanu possessed, any such dangerous, arms. And then when asked about others involved in the Biafra agitation, the witness could only point to Simon Ekpa, who he mentioned based on what he saw on social media, but he couldn't confirm if anyone else was on trial. Then the defense turned the conversation towards national issues. He went from insecurity, killings, and the state of the country. Now, the witness admitted that the ongoing attacks in Kaduna, Zamfara, and Benue are not related to any Biafra agitation, and even agreed that Nigeria's highways, farms, and schools have become unsafe. Again, not because of IPOB. Now, at this point, the defense pressed harder on IPOB prescription. The witness had no clear knowledge of who filed the application to prescribe the group. He also couldn't confirm if any other individual, apart from Kanu, was being tried for anything related to IPOB. So now the final part was, even more revealing, because the court heard that IPOB's message is mainly directed to the southeast and south-south. Yet those regions are fully represented in Nigeria's government. In fact, the defense also pointed out that nothing Kanu allegedly said or broadcasted was targeting those states. And the witness agreed that all the states mentioned are still part of the country and its leadership. That was how the day unfolded. Calm but tense with deep but strategic issue. So Kanu Lagos team dug out so much that even the witness began to show gaps in the government's case. In conclusion to everything that happened today, Nnamdi Kanu's court hearing has been adjourned for 6th, 7th, and 8th of May 2025. So all eyes are on the court for justice. So we would be anticipating what will be happening in the coming days on this particular case. But for
no instrument of terrorism found on Nnamdi Kanu, DSS witness tells court. PW1 further disclosed that he did not find any instrument of violence on the lady with Nnamdi Kanu and did not consider her company as facilitating terrorism. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. Today is Friday, the 2nd day of May 2025. I needed to wait to gather information about the court proceedings today. And right from time, a lot of people see me talking about the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. Some persons see me that, oh, this guy is just trying to call for release of Nnamdi Kanu for nothing. No, it is not for nothing. It is because I personally know right from time that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any terror-related offense, talking less of treason. And today, it happens that everything we have been saying about Nnamdi Kanu is unfolding before our eyes. And I know at the end of the trial, people will now ask the federal government, why is it that you people charge this man with treason in the first place? Later, you people charge him with terrorism when he did not even commit any terror-related case. Now, you need to follow me in this video step by step. I have to explain for you everything that happens in the court today. And at the end of this video, you will agree with me that there is nothing, when I mean nothing, absolutely nothing that will make Nnamdi Kanu not to be released this month. However, it is still important to note that the reason why Nnamdi Kanu's trial have delayed up to this point is because I believe federal government understood that if Nnamdi Kanu is being tried, that he will be discharged. Despite the Court of Appeal, still Nigerian court have discharged him before. The federal government went to Supreme Court. From Supreme Court, they are now in the Federal High Court. So, without wasting much of our time, let us go into this news from Channels Television. Let us unfold everything that transpired in court today. Now, as I said before, Channels Television published that no instrument of terrorism found on Nnamdi Kanu, according to what the DSS witness told court today. Now, let's follow this article step by step, because among the whole people that reported about what happened in the court today, Channels Television breaks down the details, and that is what I want you to know. Now, number one, let's start from the first paragraph of the article. It states that the court has granted the request of the federal government for witnesses to testify behind the screens, of which you know that court approved masked witnesses to testify. So we don't know the identity of these people, whether they are even from Britain. We don't know who is testifying. But what happened is what I'm going to explain to you. It reads that while the prosecution counsel is Adegboyaga Awomondo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, a former Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi, led the defense team. That is the senior advocate that defended Nnamdi Kanu today. You need to stay with me in this video for you to understand that this Kanu Agabi, former Attorney General of the Federation, is not just a senior advocate of Nigeria for nothing. I will show you how he reprimanded the masked witness that came to court today, and how the witness now even exonerated Kanu from all this terrorism case. What do I know, sir? I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, but stay with me. Now, an operative of the Department of State Service, known simply as AAA, appeared as PW1, okay? That is the DSS personnel that came now to testify against Kanu, people that arrested him 2015. When AAA was asked, this is cross-examination now, when AAA, that is the DSS personnel, when he was asked if he was the officer conducting the interview in the video played in court, he said that 5 officers were in the room and that he was one of them. He said his role in the investigation was limited to arresting the defendant, that is Nnamdi Kanu, obtaining his statement and escorting him to Abuja for onward investigation. On the item presented in court, that is all those radio equipment, okay, his wristwatch, his phone, that is what they found with him that made them to charge him terrorism. Stay with me. On the items presented in court, AAA was asked if there was anything which on the face of it was offensive, and he said no. Follow me. The DSS told court that they did not see anything offensive on Nnamdi Kanu. When asked if he had analyzed any of the items recovered from him, he said he analyzed only his phone. Stay with me. He said the phone was in evidence, though there was no analysis in evidence because they consider it immaterial to the case. In other words, there is nothing incriminating that is important related to this case in his phone. When asked, do you agree that in the 10 years since you confiscated these items, many of them have lost their use? AAA said. When I mean AAA, remember that is the DSS chief, and someone that is questioning him now is Mr. Kanu Agabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and former Attorney General of the Federation. So let's continue. AAA was asked whether there is a record of the items he claimed the DSS returned to the defendant. He said yes, but noted that he didn't personally keep the records. All right. PW1 further disclosed that he did not find any instrument of violence on the lady with Nnamdi Kanu and did not consider her complaint as facilitating terrorism. Okay, so the lady they said the court with Nnamdi Kanu now has been exonerated. Let's continue. When Agabi asked the DSS witness whether he found any instrument of terrorism on the defendant, that is on Nnamdi Kanu, he said no. Case closed. So we are going to continue with the article. Stay with me. Mr. Agabi, former Attorney General of the Federation, asked the DSS witness, do you see any instrument of terrorism on the defendant? He said no. So why did you charge him of terrorism when you didn't see any instrument of terror around him? All right, let's continue. Replying to a question about whether AAA contacted anyone whom the defendant mentioned as working with him, he said the defendant didn't mention any name. So Nnamdi Kanu did not mention any name that this person is working with me or this person is working with me. Stay with me, very interesting. Adding that he did not know whether other people were standing terrorism trial with Nnamdi Kanu in this case. Okay? Now, this is what he said. I put it to you that there is no other person in the whole of Nigeria who is standing terrorism trial for Biafra agitation except the defendant, Agabi told the PW1. You know what that means? If you claim Nnamdi Kanu have people who are terrorizing, and the whole of Nigeria, there is nobody standing terrorism trial for being an IPOP. So does that make sense? No, it doesn't. That is to say your testimonies are false. Now let's continue. However, AAA said he knew some people stood trial with the defendant earlier, but don't know the state of those trial now. So the DSS person now witness is saying, oh, I think some persons were standing trial with Nnamdi Kanu, but we don't know how the trial went. He mentioned that he had read from social media and newspapers that the defendants had supporters like Simon Ekpa, who also carried on with the agitation. Social media. So you read from social media that Nnamdi Kanu have disciples who is doing what Nnamdi Kanu is doing. So social media is your evidence. Did Nnamdi Kanu tell you that he sent anybody to do anything crime? No. Now, let's continue. He also said he knew that the DSS was in the process of extraditing Simon Ekpa to Nigeria to face charges. When asked whether the defendant was charged with damaging anybody's property, that is Nnamdi Kanu, did he damage anybody's property? DSS answered, maybe not, personally and virtually. So you are not aware. First of all, you said you did not see Nnamdi Kanu with anything incriminating. You said Nnamdi Kanu did not damage anybody's property. This is interesting. Now, he said there were social media messages where defendant Nnamdi Kanu was inciting violence but did not know one person who carried out any act of violence because of the defendant incited him. Now, let me explain what that means. They claim that the broadcast Nnamdi Kanu did in London, that it incited people to carry out bad things, but they did not provide it. Who is that person that he incited to carry out that act? Did anybody come to tell you that Nnamdi Kanu sent him to do something bad? Absolutely no. Now let's continue. Nnamdi Kanu called Nigeria a zoo. This is where problem comes. Because it's not someone who carries someone to court that wins the case on the zoo. Can you imagine calling Nigeria a zoo? It's not a crime anywhere in the world. It's not a crime in Nigeria. But I want to let you know what transpired here. This is laughable. Now stay with me. PW1 further said though, he could not remember whether the defendant, that is Nnamdi Kanu, said there is corruption, youth unemployment, and lack of development in Nigeria. But remember that the defendant calling Nigeria a zoo. These people who have told us that they don't have case against Nnamdi Kanu since now. This is bullshit. Now let's continue. When asked whether he remembered that the defendant said IPOB was not an armed group and does not give armed training to its members, he said he remembered that the defendant saying IPOB does not bear arms. Now, you did not see him with arms, he did not destroy any property, and he said IPOB doesn't carry arms and is not an armed group. How did you see him with arms? And if you are talking, people will understand what you are talking. Now, let's continue. So interesting. Stay with me. This is what your data. Now, there have been killings in Kaduna, Zamfara, Benue, Plateau, and other parts of the north. Are those killings based on any agitation for separation? The Defense Counsel asked. This is where Agabi threw him up the line. You are claiming that Nnamdi Kanu is inciting violence, that is inciting people to carry arms. You said you did not see him with arms. You said he has not destroyed any property. You said there is nobody following Nnamdi Kanu that is standing terrorism charge. But Agabi now asking, there is killing everywhere in Nigeria. Now, this killing that is everywhere in Nigeria, is it based on agitation for separation? Now, to the best of my knowledge, no, DSS answered. I think someone should give kudos to Agabi. You see, this is a very technical issues that we have been waiting for. Because these questions are the reason why we make video every day to tell Nigerians, Nnamdi Kanu is not guilty about all these things. Nnamdi Kanu is not guilty. And all these things these people are doing is for nothing. All this bomb going on everywhere, is it Nnamdi Kanu that is doing it? If the witness identity could be unveiled, I will just go straight to where he came from, where he comes from, like the village. I will go and find out what is going on in his village to ask him that his parents that are not going to farm, is it Nnamdi Kanu that caused it? No going back. Now, let's continue. He further stated that Nigeria's highways are safe to a large extent. When the Defense Council asks, many Nigerians have been killed on their farms, in churches, in mosques, etc. Schools have been attacked and students kidnapped or killed. Trains have been attacked and passengers kidnapped and killed. These killings are not the product of any agitation for separation. Are they? That is the DSS witness said no. Agabi, you're tough. Oh. You're tough. Now let's continue. The case featuring terrorism and treasonable felony charge was originally instituted in 2015 following Kanu's arrest in Lagos. Major setbacks have held the case down for almost a decade, making it impossible for the prosecution to call witnesses and present exhibits until on Tuesday, that is the day they started this trial. The case started with 4 people initially charged as Kanu's co-defendants. However, in February 2018, the then trial judge Binta Nyako severed the trial, separating Kanu, who had fled Nigeria, from the other defendants, and of which I don't agree with Channel Television here, because Nnamdi Kanu did not flee, okay, according to the Supreme Court. The trial severance allowed the prosecution to continue proceedings against the 4 remaining co-defendants. The Nigeria government rearrested Kanu according to Channel Television, but I would say that the Nigerian government kidnapped Kanu in Kenya in June 2021. This is the end of the article. This is so interesting, man. So interesting. So if they tell you that the reason why they have been holding Nnamdi Kanu is because DSS will come to court to say Nnamdi Kanu called Nigeria a zoo. Is Nigeria not a zoo? A zoo is more coordinated than Nigeria. Nigeria is a jungle, it's a zoo. More mature zoo. How is that a crime? See, you can't go and study Sharia law and think you can come out and win anybody in the court. You can't go and have Sharia certificate and you think you can come and throw everybody offline. Buhari and his cohort who arrested Nnamdi Kanu, they thought that they could charge Nnamdi Kanu with all those Sharia court blasphemy. You said zoo, you said blasphemy. Now the question is, why don't they charge Nnamdi Kanu with when he said, in fact, let's leave all those kids. Nnamdi Kanu will be released. And Justice James Omotosho said, the case will not pass next 2 proceedings. You know, they have set the date right from time. They set the date right from time, how everything is going to be. So he said he's not exceeding that date. So congratulations in advance to everyone who has been wishing Nnamdi Kanu well. Yes, I can beat my chest to tell you that at the end, no matter what happened, Nnamdi Kanu will be freed. Yes, he will be freed, he will be discharged, and he will continue what he is doing. This is matter of time. This is matter of patience. Just imagine 2015 to 2025. We are talking about 10 years. You have been trying one man that you caught with radio equipment. Shame. This is so shameful. Radio equipment. You caught someone with radio equipment. That is what you are bringing to court. You did not see this man with firearms. Fulani terrorists has been kidnapping everywhere. Their leader is free. Something dangerous is ahead of Nigeria. They leave the Fulani terrorists to be terrorizing. They leave the Boko Haram. They know their chief. They know people sponsoring them. Many people has been accused, like the former Zamfara governor, who is Tinubu's chief of defense staff. and Imodu Sherif was accused of forming Boko Haram. He said it was Kassim Shettima, your vice president. Tinubu said if he fight them, they will kill him. Buhari promised to implement Sharia court and imported people into Nigeria. APC and CPC did that. So Tinubu is part of people who imported it. Okay, quote me anywhere. Senators have said this on the channel's television, on Arise News. They have said it time without number. There is a man that said it day before yesterday again on Arise News again about the importation of terrorists into Nigeria. That is a treasonable offense. Tinubu, Buhari and others committed treason, but you can't say it because you are afraid. They thought they could break in Nnamdi Kanu. Their mission is not to try to jail him, but they want to break him for him to forget about Biafra agitation. That was just their mission. Let us stop this man from agitating. But mission impossible. The mission was impossible. It's not everybody you can intimidate to the end. And I promise you at the end, the truth must prevail.
Amen and amen. Let the truth come to light so that the innocent will be set free. Because this man don't suffer enough. Honestly, it is time to let Mazi Nnamdi Kanu go. It is time to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to regain his freedom. Because enough is enough. Yes, my people, we believe that at the end of the day, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must regain his freedom because he committed no crime. Self-determination is never a crime in any way in the world. So my people, that is it as I bring this update to you guys. I hope you truly enjoy watching anyway. Please do wait to subscribe if you haven't shared the video. Give it a like. I will see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Jammer Seniors TV.